Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Change news show. And yes, I know, I've been gone for a while. I actually did a 7-day internet and social media cleanse, which I'm going to be doing a full video on later on this YouTube channel. I definitely can't recommend it enough, but I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of meditating, a lot of mindfulness, and I just eventually came to the conclusion that, yeah, we're all screwed. There's no nice way of saying it, but after coming back online, after being completely offline for 7 days, damn! What in the world is happening right now? And yeah, that's why I'm doing this video right now. And to save you time, we're just going to get into the latest disinformation propaganda that's being pushed on you right now. And of course, the first thing I wanted to talk about is Oprah Winfrey yesterday sparking the dreams of millions of slave zombies with her hopes for a 2020 presidential run after her speech at the Golden Globes, which is really just an over-glamorized, self-serving fellatio show where people give each other awards for some reason. And if you've seen the video of Oprah's speech, it utterly terrified me. And you should too, especially if you know how public relations, politics, and staged PR events work. And this was brilliant propaganda that worked very effectively on the masses, with even the official NBC channel saying nothing but respect for our future president. Now, of course, we are hearing that Oprah Winfrey is actually actively thinking about running for president. And the reason that this terrifies me is not that just Oprah Winfrey knows Harvey Weinstein and is good friends with him. You know, the media mogul who hired Mossad and was sexually assaulting and molesting and harassing and raping women for over 40 years with the protection of the mainstream media and local police departments. That guy, not just because of the utter hypocrisy in this entertainment industry, not even because she publicly came out years ago and said this.
Generations of people, older people who were born and generations of people, older people who were born and bred and marinated in it, in that prejudice and racism, and they just have to die.
Hey, I don't like racists either, but if we start killing people because of their ignorance on issues, we might as well get rid of 3/4 of the planet. And it's not just that this elite thinking is worrisome. It's the very fact that she is very well connected with these elites and previously held secret meetings away from the media with people like Bill Gates, David Rockefeller, Ted Turner, George Soros, Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and other pompous elites to discuss eugenics and shrinking the world's population. Well, you know, just the world's most powerful, influential, richest people meeting in secret, discussing culling the Earth's population. You know, there's nothing to worry about there, right? And of course, with their money, they have the best PR, they have the best propaganda. They're able to get their messages out very effectively, manipulate the public so they don't even see and understand the real picture here of the powers that lay behind the scenes and only primarily do in order to benefit themselves. And that's why they do a lot of these things in secret so you don't know about it, because if you did, well, duh, these people wouldn't be allowed to do what they want to do. So yeah, seeing Oprah's speech and the public reaction from it made me sharp myself a little bit. You know, especially with eugenicists slithering their way to be the Supreme Commander of the United States military. So yeah, that just happened. And in other human populations being wiped off the map news, we have the latest revelations coming from North Korea with fear-mongering coming from the US CDC that is now set to teach the US public on how to prepare for a nuclear war. Of course, reviving the Cold War mentality. Since, you know, geopolitically and with US-American foreign policy, things are shite. And they're only getting a little shitier as we're learning how US officials are now debating whether it's possible to launch a limited military strike against North Korea without, of course, igniting an all-out war. And of course, if you've been watching this channel and know about the geopolitical alliances and statements made by countries like China and Russia, it's pretty much very clear that the chances for World War III are extremely high if the United States would attack North Korea. Now, as some world leaders are talking about their button sizes, the situation in North Korea has lightened up a bit since that country is taking advantage of the rift that is happening right now between South Korea and the United States. Some diplomatic relations have been opened, and of course, we are going to be following this diplomatic process very closely on this YouTube channel. But On the other hand, the United States still is looking like it only has one thing on its mind, as Donald Trump is set to put his mark on the US nuclear arsenal, and according to many analysts, is set to invest more than $1 trillion in increasing the US nuclear capabilities. And as former Congressman Ron Paul puts it, yeah, the more the United States, with already a $20 trillion debt, spends on military, the more likely it will collapse, just like the Soviet Union did because of their overspending on war. And now, in related news to war, let's talk about the country that the US military and many neoconservatives have been talking about and planning on bombing since 2001, Iran, which of course is going through major protests right now, which of course Donald Trump and the neoconservatives are pushing for. Iran, of course, is answering back with their ambassador claiming that there is hard evidence that these protests are directed from countries outside of Iran. Even in the UN General Assembly, countries like France and Russia came over and slammed the United States over their pressure, sanctions, and support of these protests. And of course, honestly speaking, there is reason for the Iranian people to protest their government, especially because of economic hard times in that country. And of course, there are major economic and political social demands of the Iranian people on their government that they have resisted and censored opposing views on. Even just moments ago, we are finding out that the former Iranian president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, was even arrested for, quote, inciting violence. And with a deepening political mess inside of Iran right now, we of course are seeing the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, who work in cooperation and geopolitically have the same goals of overthrowing the Iranian government, take advantage of this moment and of course push for more protest and more regime change inside of Iran. And it's pretty clear, even though the American mainstream media never points this out, but yes, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States are working in collusion. And now, in related news to that collusion, today we are finding out that Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law and presidential advisor, has received over $30 million of investment from one of Israel's largest financial institutions just before he went on Trump's diplomatic trip to Israel. This information was, of course, released today and shows clear conflict of interest and collusion. Of course, with Jared Kushner being one of the people who is mainly shaping US Middle Eastern policy, and of course, greatly benefiting from it financially. And now, of course, many people haven't picked up on this story, but according to Michael Wolff's new book, Fie and Fury, Henry Kissinger himself said that inside of the Donald Trump's White House, that it is, quote, a war between the Jews and the non-Jews, using those exact words to describe the rift that happened between Trump's advisor, former advisor, Steve Bannon, and of course, Jared and Ivanka Trump. And that there was an all-out war between the two over the issue of American foreign policy regarding Israel. Of course, a very inflammatory comment by Henry Kissinger that sheds light on what's happening inside of the White House and how policy is set. Now, it is fair to say that Michael Wolff's book does have inconsistencies and non-truths in them, but the fact still speaks for itself because Henry Kissinger still has not denied this comment. With not having much else to say about this story, what do you guys think about his comment? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all the comments as soon as these videos are out. And of course, before ending today's broadcast, I wanted to remind you guys that our time here, my time with you, is very limited. The big social media companies are, by definition, cancerous and a parasite on society, and they are making it more and more difficult for people with a contrarian message to get that message out to you, or even the people who are subscribed to us. I mean, just a few days ago, David Icke's Facebook page with over 700,000 followers was just deleted without notification. This, of course, with the fact that even Facebook admitted that it is deleting accounts for the US, Israeli, and German governments. And really, this is only just the beginning. So before we are totally wiped out, don't forget to go to wearechange.org and sign up on our email list, which I don't even know how to really use. I just know there's a database. I don't even send out emails. But when we eventually do get censored, you can find out why through our email list. And of course, all the sources to today's story will be on steemit.com/@LukeWeAreChange, where you could fact check everything yourself, which I strongly recommend because you really shouldn't trust anybody. Do your own research, do your own homework, do your own work to be the change that you want to see in the world. I know a lot of you do that, especially if you're watching this channel, and that is why I love you. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for a lot more, of course, here on youtube.com/WeAreChange.